Hello. Do you like small things? I love them. I used to play with toys and had a doll's house until I was 14. Even now I can't walk past a playset without looking at all the tiny little details. There's something about action figures and doll's house furniture, camper vans and picnics, miniature art and tiny little boxes. Taking something, shrinking it, and finding it cute. Or in some cases, better. But why? Why do you and I love small things so much? Is it because they're fun-sized or simply cute? Or is it more than that? Let's have a look at some theories. Welcome to... Sorry about this, it keeps going off at really inconvenient moments. I was at a funeral/baby shower last week and... Sorry, hang on. Welcome to a study in small. It's difficult to narrow it down to one reason as to why we like smalls. One theory suggests that it may be a parental instinct. We love baby animals and babies. We love teddy bears with big eyes looking at us, asking to be looked after, or feeding a soft and fluffy mouse a bit of cheese. If it's small and cute, we'll automatically want to adopt and protect it. Being good nurturers is drummed into us as a species. The better you care for your child, the higher the chance it has to survive, continue the bloodline, and pass on the same loving qualities to all future generations. As caretakers, we want to be careful with our collector's edition action figures and 10.5cm tall rocking chairs. Being delicate and using our parental instincts, we become more dexterous in handling them, focusing on placing them down safely and making them comfortable. All this dexterity causes us to release dopamine in our brains, the reward chemical, and oxytocin, the love hormone, for protecting something that you find precious. To find out more, I'm sitting down to have a chat with neuroscientist and author Susana Martinez Conde. Hello.
Hi, how are you?
Hello. I'm good, thank you. How are you?
Good.
What about the parental instinct sort of aspect of it?
There's theories and there's some research evidence that not just small things, but when we're confronted with cute things, and that there may be a bit of a parental instinct, like you put it, going into this. Parents tend to perceive their youngest children actually as smaller than they are in real life. They underestimate the height of their youngest children by a fair amount.
By how much do you think? Like a foot? Like a couple of inches, or just like...
No, it's a fair amount. I would say it's about 10 centimeters, if I remember correctly.
Blimey. I'm a second child. So does that mean my mum loves me more than my brother?
Well, I don't know if they love you more or not, but it is probably the case.
Thank you. That's all I needed to hear. Thank you. Probably. I've always been a lover of camper vans. The fact that they're so cosy and convenient. Everything you need at your fingertips. Everything you need from a house, but within a few square feet. What is it about a small sink or a fold-up bed that makes me feel so warm and fuzzy inside? Perhaps it's an underlying feeling of being in a playset myself. A make-believe world. Thanks! Picnics give me a similar feeling. Who needs a dining table when you've got a cute selection of fun-sized foods on an itchy blanket? Why do you think we call them fun-sized? A, because they're small portions for children at birthday parties to prevent overeating and obesity, also to encourage sharing, which enhances their social abilities. Or B, because small equals fun equals happy. Okay, I've got to admit, this is probably the weakest argument. So I'm a huge lover of camper vans, or what do you call them, an RV over there in America?
Sure, yeah.
Yeah, I love those. And I wondered if there was something linked, because like everything you need from a house, but within like a few square feet.
It may be an environment in which, like you said, you have more control and everything is more contained. It may feel more protective. As you may know, there is this tiny house movement, which is people about living in tiny houses.
What?
Like a
Really?
room size. Yeah.
Oh my God.
There's a whole thing out there. Look it up. Tiny house movement.
Do they have a toilet in there? Or do they go out into the woods?
I think normally it has a toilet, but probably there's all sorts of scenarios. But I do believe that the general idea is just half, but in much smaller space.
I want one. Another theory suggests that a love for dolls' houses is linked to a lack of control in one's life. Creating a miniature world where you are God, you decide what happens to the characters that you've created who live here. A safe space, essentially. Dolls' houses were created in the 17th century for rich adult women to lavish with expensive creations. Not to be played with, but to be admired. Tiny furniture is typically emulating upper-class Downton Abbey level furniture, as opposed to modern, common furniture that you'd find in a real home. Now, owning extravagant furniture, yet mini, may reinforce the idea of having success or control in your made-up world, whereas in real life you may be a penniless failure. A similar and more modern equivalent to dolls' houses and play sets is The Sims. Tiny people on the screen whose lives you control, giving them everything they or you would desire. That or putting them in a swimming pool and removing the ladders. Setting their house on fire, maybe. Control as a form of meditation, causing your brain to release serotonin, the mood-stabilizing chemical.
I think some of these miniatures and that video game scenarios like The Sims and all of that, they also give us a creative outlet, right? We're writing our own script, we're designing our own story. Something that our brains are very good at is to give us this illusion of control. We think that we have a lot more control over our lives, over the things that happen around us. Small things and miniatures, they do afford us more objective control, actually.
You're giving such great answers. You sound like a scientist or something.
I am a scientist.
Really? I remember when I was little and being in my nan's kitchen staring at a custard cream biscuit. Now, perhaps it's a little bit easier to show you. I remember so vividly looking at all the details up close. There was something about seeing the pattern and the writing so detailed and compact. I used to have really similar experiences with those tiny Bibles that you find in schools. Or, for a better example, growing up in a seaside town, I'd visit the beach often. Now, I've asked everybody that I know whether they did the same thing, and the majority have all said yes. Maybe you did too. As a child, I'd stare at the sand up close, almost analysing every single grain. Now, it turns out the reason we did or still do this is very similar to the way we see miniature things. Our brains love intricate, complex visuals. The details of sand or a custard cream, a miniature piano, give off enormous doses of delicious stimulation. Last year, I painted this monstrosity above my bed, and I wanted to test the stimulation theory. So, I painted this micro monstrosity. Took me about an hour. I think it turned out pretty good. Sure, I got a sweet dose of dopamine for painting them, but the real prize is seeing them next to each other. I like both big and small versions, but if you asked your brain which version it would want you to stare at for 5 minutes, it would probably choose the smaller version. Brains don't mess about. They want high stimulation and they want it now. To scan the whole of this, when it could get all the compact information it needs from this, and using less energy, well, it's a no-brainer.
We're compelled to look for what has rich information in it. So our brains are sensory seeking machines. So if you think about, I don't know, a tiny chair versus a real size chair, you're going to have all the same amount of details that will be spread over a much larger amount of space in your retinas. The whole of the small object is going to concentrate a large amount of visual information in comparison to what we're normally exposed to with objects that are larger.
Thank you so much.
No, you're very welcome. Fun conversation.
Today I've come to the Malt House in Hyde. Susanna has given us a great insight into the science behind smalls. And now I want to talk to someone who's been living and breathing miniatures every day for the last 8 years. Teeny weeny expert, Hazel. Hello, mate.
Hiya.
Nice. So, would you identify yourself as a miniature expert?
I know what I'm talking about, I think.
Well, like 85% expert? Okay. But you make them?
Yeah.
Do you have tweezers holding a miniature screwdriver?
No, I've got the biggest, fattest fingers you've ever seen, but I don't use tweezers and things.
So what's your favourite piece in the shop?
I think it's got to be...
That's amazing. Okay. Did I lose? I think I lost.
Probably. But that's one of my favourites, and I like...
The sewing machines.
Yeah. So I just think these are fantastic.
Do these shears actually...
They do open, yeah. But they're, I mean, look at that. How cute is that, eh? Look at that box of matches.
Oh my god. Tanya, can you even see that?
That is what I call the smallest thing.
Do you think that's actually the smallest thing you got in the shop?
That's the smallest thing I got.
Can you even
My
focus
dog.
on it?
Yeah, I can. Ah, this is an R.
This is an R. Okay. Oh my god, that is so cute. And they're even suckling on the miniature teats.
But they do come off the mother.
Teat sucking action feature. Is there a doll's house of a doll's house?
Yeah.
Oh my god, you've got one. What? Where?
This one hasn't got stairs in
Yeah.
it, but it
That's
is
still
a doll's
cute.
house.
Yeah.
Doll's house.
So what do you think the appeal is of tiny things?
It's like living the dream. Do you know what I mean? It's you can't have a Victorian house yourself, so you put it together as a doll's house. You'll get some people that will strictly stick to an era, and others that will mix and match and just put in it whatever they like.
I don't think that's tasteful. That's not tasteful, that's gross.
It's having something to look at that you would like to have for real.
If you can't afford something in real life, you have full control
Yeah.
to have it miniature,
Yeah.
tiny.
But you've got some very strange, like, it's not just having a doll's house with a sink and a cooker. I've had people come in, they've got, one girl's got an asylum.
Okay.
And she's really sort of into, she said, I just love it. She said, all this blood and gore, you know. You get others that have got brothels, pubs. But I think that's how some of them, you know, their brains tick with doing this, really.
What was it specifically that you liked about it that made you get into it?
I didn't intend to do it. My mum started making a couple of bits, and I said, well, I'll put them down the malthouse with the stuff, you know, we'll see how it goes. And then suddenly, you're getting a bit more and a bit more,
Yeah.
and people are taking a bit more interest, and it just went from there. And it's got more and more, it's got bigger and bigger, you know, slowly. I mean,
Bigger and bigger, but smaller and smaller. Whether it's a parental instinct, control, a need for stimuli, or something completely different, I hope this has given you a better idea on... Sorry, I told you it keeps going off at really inconvenient moments. Like an outro. 5 seconds. Great. Thank you so much for watching us study in small. Have a nice day. Over and out.